Let's do some denial of service. I have two VMs here. I have Metasploitable, which will be the target, and I have Server 2016, which will be the attacker. I have the high orbit ion cannon, the low orbit ion cannon, and slow loris. We're starting with the LOIC, the low orbit ion cannon. These definitely show up as viruses. Make sure your antivirus is off. So let's open up the LOIC. Now the LOIC is very simple, and if you look, you can even find an Android APK for it, but I'm going to make a comment about that in just a moment. I'm going to launch the LOIC, and I'm going to just verify Metasploitable's IP address. So I'm coming over to Metasploitable. I'm logging in as MSF admin, enter MSF admin, and if config, just to verify. Okay, it's still 192.168.75.131. All right, fine. I have the LOIC running. Now, just so you can see the website, and I'm just going to open up Internet Explorer, and I'm going to go to the website of Metasploitable. So here's the website with various web pages on it, actually separate websites on it. And I can open up any of these, whatever, it doesn't really matter. I just open up one of these, and so I can just look on whatever. It doesn't really matter what we're going to. So now, what I am going to do here is, in the LOIC, you have a choice of putting in a target URL or just an IP. And if we just put in the IP, 192.168.75.131, we can do that. We click lock on, and you see that it shows up here. You could also put it in a URL. So let's say I wanted to target, instead of the Twiki here, I want to go against DVWA. And what I need is the URL for this. So you make sure that you Control-C, copy-paste the URL, and you put it in here. Paste it in here and you lock on. So you can go either way, whichever target you want. If you pick a URL, obviously then the type of attack you want is against HTTP. And so what you'll do is you go against whatever the port it is, in this case probably 80, and you pick the HTTP, and you can see right here that what it's going to do is it's going to do an attack against that HTTP service. Or you can pick TCP, and you can just choose the port for TCP, whatever the port is. So it's totally up to you. And then you have a slider for here for speed, and if you want to put in a silly message, you can do that. When you're ready to actually fire, you hit this. I'm a charging my laser. Just so we can see it, we're going to run Wireshark, although pretty quickly we're going to hurt these machines and it's going to stop real fast, just because we're generating a lot of traffic, not only against the target, but also we're generating it from the attacker. So I'm just going to start Wireshark just so we can watch for as long as we can watch. And at some point it's going to just completely choke up. So let me start Wireshark. But we can just watch what happens. So let's start a Wireshark capture. Double-click Ethernet. Okay, I've got the capture started. I'm going to minimize it, and I'm just going to hit I'm a charging my laser. And so we can see that it's flooding now. You look down here, you can see requests happening. When we come over here, we can try to click in, and it's already having trouble responding. Let me go back. Yeah, I'm clicking around, and this website already can't seem to respond. And we can see, and in fact, my whole VM is getting really slow. I'm hurting myself because I just have VMs at the moment. I can try to stop flooding. You can see how I'm already hurting myself here. So this is the low orbit ion cannon. I'm going to try to stop flooding in a moment. In fact, it is going so hard that it's not even updating itself. Look at how slow this update was. Let's stop flooding here. We're going to go take a look at the Wireshark capture. So as soon as this thing is able to respond, we'll take a look. All right, we finally managed to close that thing. Let's go to Wireshark. Wireshark probably has an enormous full buffer at the moment. So we'll see if we can open up Wireshark and just take a look at what we have here. Okay, let's stop the capture. Okay, so Wireshark is finally going through its buffer. there was a lot of traffic here. All of this stuff is denial of service traffic. Push acts. The push, of course, makes it a extremely high priority packet to a web server because you've got the various TCP flags. And push is what we use when you are authenticating. So it sends the packet straight to the application and not even buffering it or anything. So we've got a lot of extremely high priority traffic here, and all of it is denial of service traffic. And as I scroll up, you can see there's loads and loads and loads and loads and loads of that stuff. If we open up one of them and we scroll over and we take a look, we can see that this is a TCP, and it came from server 2016, 192.168.75.16, headed towards Metasploitable. LOIC chose just a random source port, 49.963, to attack port 80, the web server there. And you can see that there wasn't even an attempt to make it an HTTP payload at all. It wasn't even important. And so there's loads of this. So we've got a bunch from 49.63. And then here we've got the poor old server trying to respond back with acknowledgments from Metasploitable to server 2016 from port 80 back to this random source port. And so we've got loads and loads of repeating until we got to the point where we just practically crashed both machines. Obviously, do not do this on a real production machine. You are an ethical hacker, not an unethical hacker. One machine by itself cannot take down typically a commercial website. You'd probably have to coordinate about 1,000 machines to do this. That is using the low orbit ion cannon for a denial of service attack.